Hi there, welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham. Chris on his own today, talking about the Newcastle game, another lead blown in the quest for top four, but the same old discussions to be had. Terrible defence, conceding too many chances, mistakes by different players in the team. Where would we be without Kane? And then Jose's comments afterwards. I mean, is this the beginning of the end for him at Tottenham? All that and more. Any comments you have, any questions, any suggestions for future episodes, just put a comment on the YouTube video. If you listen to the audio only, then just put that on Twitter at LTalk Tottenham. So without further ado, let's talk. Different coach, same players. Hi there, so welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham, just me as I say. So I'm trying this thing with the background here. Hoping it works. It doesn't look too bad, although things keep coming into view and disappearing, but hopefully we'll bear with it. And it's another depressing one, another 2 points dropped. So we keep doing this. It must be at least 8 games that we've let slip now. And it's just, for a team that want to be top four, and that 4 seasons ago, not that long ago, were challenging for titles, and even sooner than that, challenging for Champions League winners' titles, it's just not good enough. And we'll come on to Jose later on. But, I mean, with all due respect to Newcastle, they're 4th bottom. They're struggling. Confidence presumably is a bit low. And we're letting them have 22 shots at us. And these aren't speculative 30-yard efforts. These are clear-cut chances which, I mean, if we do this in the cup final against City, that game's over after half an hour if we're conceding these types of chances. And, I mean, Gale, 2 clear-cut chances in the same move. Lobby saves both of them, but shouldn't have ever been allowed to get anywhere near that. And for the header, in that first chance in that move, it's John Joe Shelby with acres of space and Gale just making a quick run, which just isn't picked up past static defending, which we'll get to in a bit as well, and just absolutely terrible. He's got a completely free header. And him again, an easy pass for, a player of Premier League quality to put Almiron in. Who was picking Almiron up, I have no idea, but the pass overhit, which is almost as criminal as lava offending, and allows Lloris to come out and sweep up and clear it. But, I mean, team with a bit more composure there, strikers with a bit more composure, that game's over fairly quickly. Joe Linton, who we make him look like Messi. He doesn't do anything in the league. He comes to play us. I think he's only scored against us. I mean, he missed a gilt-edged chance in the second half. We had our chances as well. Clear-cut chances. Tanganga off the line. Kane, poor touch, and the keeper comes out and snuffs it out, and then he hits the post. That one was unlucky. So one of those goes in, that's game over. But we didn't deserve anything from that game. And the build-up play, so laboured. This is a team who is struggling at the bottom, shipping goals, and we're passing it side to side, backwards, side to side, without any real urgency. I mean, I bang on about Eriksen, but if Eriksen was playing that game, he'd have had that run in that game, and then we win that fairly comfortably, because he'd have been demanding the ball, quickening the tempo, giving it to people in space quickly. But we don't seem to have that, and that's fine if that's the way you want to play, and that's the way Jose wants to play. But against teams who generally sit back, Newcastle will generally sit back and then play on the counter-attack unless they get big encouragement to go forward, because they're not going to be troubled, which with Kane, most teams are going to be troubled if they lose the ball. But they'll still be sitting back, and you've got to try and break that down, and you do that by playing quickly. The one time we played quickly was where Højbjerg on the turn put it into Ndombele, passed about 4 players in a line, opened the game up, quick pass, and then Kane scores his second goal. It was the only time we played quick in that game, and we get a goal from it. So do that more often. I just don't understand how. Well, come on, let's talk about Jose. His comments afterwards, I think it was Juliet Ferrington, from BBC. Your teams have traditionally been good at the back, he says, and then his comments are same coach, different players. But this is the same coach that's apparently a tactical genius who sets us up in such a way to not be quick, rely on Kane far too much. I mean, if we didn't have Kane, where the hell would we be? And just, I feel sorry for him in an extent because whoever he picks is making mistakes. But, the buck does stop with you as the manager because that's what you're paid to do. You're paid to get results, pick the players who will get you the results. And at the moment, seemingly, that isn't happening. Now, we've had a fairly good run in the league, a few wins, and then this was a draw, not a loss. But it feels like a loss because of the last couple of minutes, and we should be winning them. We're at the business end of the season now. You've got to be picking up points and not throwing away silly ones. And it's the manner that we're playing as well. I mean, it's not entertaining to watch, is it? I mean, neutral it might be. Opposition, it definitely is because they're getting chances. But yeah, to come out and say that, and then when pressed, well, what's the difference? I don't want to talk about it. I mean, I've got friends who are United fans, so they've seen the Jose go well, get even better, then slump down. So they'll recognise this as possibly the beginning of the end. He's blaming the players now. He's taking no responsibility for his own decisions. All the players' fault, nothing to do with him. And I mean, traditionally, the first season's okay. Second season starts winning. Third season's when it all goes to pot. We're skipping out the successful second season if we don't win this League Cup. I mean, we mentioned on here as well that, Pochettino, like the father figure, arm around the shoulder. Jose is more of a manager rather than a friend or father. But people don't like change. And if you want to implement change, most of the time you have to do it kind of slowly. So from Pochettino for 5 years with that kind of father figure mentality, all of a sudden, like that, all of a sudden you're not good enough and won't tolerate failure. It's going to put people's noses out of joint. Footballers are a very sensitive species, aren't they? You just have to look on the pitch, like hardly any touch, fall down, clutching their legs. So to be able to change that mentality, it can't be done overnight. And I don't think it can be done that swiftly with that bigger change. And, Jose has obviously been at teams where there's been that mentality already there. I mean, Manchester United, it will already be there because of the club. Chelsea, maybe not, but he still had people like John Terry, Frank Lampard there. I'm sure he had Frank Lampard there. And Drogba, winners. And to change that mentality too quickly when people are so used to having a father figure, arm around the shoulder, don't worry, keep going. If you make a mistake, just don't do it again, it's fine. I mean, so it's either he's too brash with them and they don't like it, or they're too soft, or a combination of both, or it's done too quickly. And I never thought Jose was a right fit for Tottenham. The way he plays, I just never thought he was the right fit. And the way that we're playing is completely boring, sitting on leads when quite clearly our best players are going forward. I mean, you got Kane and Son there. Go kill Bale on the bench. Go kill teams off when you get in the lead. Don't sit back on the lead. Just go kill teams off, and then you can worry about your defending afterwards. So it would be very interesting if Jose is there next season, because as long as Boris's roadmap works and goes as to plan and nothing happens in between June the 21st and the next season, then there'll be fans at the stadium next year, and they won't be tolerating this kind of football again when they've been in a lockdown for a full season, a season and a third or whatever it was, watching this rubbish. and boring football, negative football, and then they're all of a sudden paying to watch it as well, they'll definitely voice their concern. So, I mean, we'll never know, but would we have played that kind of football this season if there were fans in the stadium? It'd be interesting to know what you guys think. So, be interested to know what you guys think. So, put comments on the YouTube video, or if you're watching on audio at LTalk Tottenham. Be interesting to know what people think on that. Whether we would have played a different way, whether fans have been there and voiced their opinions, because they'd have been booed off half time and full time a lot this season if fans were there, and we'd have had the exact same results that we've had and the way that we play. So it'd be very interesting to know that. I'm not sure if we don't win that League Cup. I think he could be gone. I think if we don't win the League Cup and don't get top four, I think he definitely will be gone. Who we get is anybody's guess. Rodgers is a name bandied about, but why he'd leave Leicester, I have no idea. Nagelsmann, I'll admit, I don't really know that much about him. One of my friends keeps saying Brian Potter from Brighton because they play attractive football, and if they had a striker of someone like Kane or Ings quality, they'd be well up the league. But Spurs fans wouldn't be happy from going Pochettino, Jose, with all due respect, to Brian Potter, because it's not a big name, and they want to be a big club with a big name. And, he's only been a manager in the Premier League for maybe 1-2 seasons. But, I mean, those comments there, it's typical Jose, isn't it? He was at Sky, came to us and then said he's changed with his time away, he's changed, he's mellowed out, and we're just seeing the same Jose again. Just calling players out and same coach, different players. This is essentially the same players, but with a different coach in Pochettino who got to the lofty heights that we did. People say, yeah, that was years ago, and they got stale. That was before they got stale, which is quite true. But you look at Luke Shaw, what he's doing now at Man United, but different coach, same player with Jose, throws him out. Is almost as low. If you're a defender, if you go past the halfway line, you're in trouble, you get fined. And now look at him with a bit of freedom under Solskjaer. He hasn't been Man United's best player because that will be reserved for Fernandes, but he's been one of their most improved players. And he just shows the man management there. I don't think Jose is a coach. He's a manager. He's not a coach, I don't think. He's tactical, although some of his tactics are questionable. But yeah, man management. You see some players, Ibrahimovic has said that he'd die for him, but there's too many players that he's fallen out with. And, in talking of tactics as well, I still don't buy the fact that the players are saying that Jose doesn't say to sit back, we decide that, which I'm not sure about that. But even if they do, he's a tactical genius, apparently. So he should be able to change it. Like he did at Olympiacos when he first came in, took Dyer off, put Ericsson on after half an hour, completely changed how we played. But maybe his comments are a dig at Levy and just a way to try and get a bit of money for the summer and then try and buy a few more players that he needs. But to say that in public, doesn't sit right with me, and it just sounds like no responsibility on me. It's all the players' fault. They're not good enough. And these players that were told they were good enough by Pochettino, all of a sudden now being told they're not good enough. Read that a lot of players are getting fed up with him, which that's what happens in the third season, but we're having it in the second season. And in terms of the defence, I like Sanchez. I always have, and I've defended him. But for me, enough is enough now. I think he's got to go out of the team. What I would say is, regardless of how poor he's been, racial abuse under any level is just completely unacceptable. And he doesn't deserve that. No player deserves that. And people like Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all of that need to come together. Make it a criminal matter. You surely have details of who is using that computer and where they are. Give them to the police, get them arrested. But anyway, that's a conversation for another time. But the racial abuse he's got is unacceptable in the same way that Bergwijn got it, Rashford, Pogba, whoever else has suffered it. It's completely unacceptable. He's played poor, but so say you've played poor, but not turn it into a racial thing. But getting back to Sanchez, same with Villa. same in this game, he just looks a complete nervous wreck. Whenever the ball goes anywhere near him, you can almost see the panic in him. And it's almost as though Jose has said zero tolerance in mistakes, and he's terrified of making one, that he therefore makes one. I mean, it was his. Well, I say it was his mistake for the first goal, but there were three of them. Tanganga missed a clearance, just cleared it on the floor. Went back to Sanchez, he did it. Højbjerg's got a chance to get rid of it and go storming in, make sure he gets the ball, goes in a bit half-hearted, and then they're over, and then he's got a free shot, Joe Linton. So again, I mean, you get teams that a player makes a mistake and it causes a goal or causes a chance. We're having three players in one move, a comedy of errors, that then therefore creates a goal. The second goal, Rodon, who I thought had a good game, and Rodon, in contrast to Sanchez, looks assured, looks fairly calm. He's young, so he's going to make mistakes. But like I've said time and time again, I think young defenders like that need an older head with them to calm them down, who will be the leader of that line and will kind of help them through the game until they're used to being the leader themselves. But that second goal, him and Sanchez both went for the same headed ball. It comes over to Willock, who's completely unmarked. It's just, that's basic defending, surely. But I mean, there's talk now as well. Jose said Alderweireld turned up late for training, and that's why he's not playing. But he played all three games for Belgium, and he's our best defender, Alderweireld. He may not be quick, but he's our best defender. And John Terry was never quick, superb defender, pretty much all of his career. Didn't have to be quick because of the reading of the game and his positioning. Generally sorted that out so that he didn't need to be quick. Alderweireld, same kind of thing. And he will help Rodon. So if it was me, Alderweireld and Rodon for the rest of the season. But he seems to be persevering with Sanchez, even though he makes mistakes every game and seems to be a nervous wreck every game. And it's just going to get worse. If he is terrified of making a mistake and he keeps making mistakes, that terror is just going to get higher and higher and higher, and then he's just going to be even more error prone than he is now. I just don't understand how he sticks with him. Dyer makes mistakes, so he seems to have said, well, you're out of the team, but he doesn't seem to do that with Sanchez. Rodon, I think Rodon has looked quite assured. He does look fairly comfortable. He can't use his left foot, I know. He was always clearing it with his right, but generally, his reading of the game is okay. Second goal excluded. But I think if Alderweireld was there for that second goal, he'd have made sure one of them was going for the ball, the other one was in the middle to scoop up the danger. But, I mean, that goal had been coming, like I say. We didn't kill the game off. 2-1, kill the game off. Kill it before half time. If you can't do that, then out like a train in the second half, kill the game off before an hour. But we don't do that. We sat back trying to look for keep the 2-1. So maybe Jose's reputation has preceded him, so they know he's a defensive coach. So they sit back and it's kind of subconscious, but I can't believe that. I think it must be a way they're set up. But although against, was it Arsenal, we had 4 attackers on the pitch and then we just sat back entire game. But we already talked about that, how the tactics there with allowing Tierney to go forward. One positive, what I will say, is the second goal was completely overlooked, apart from Michael Dawson on punditry at half-time. Højbjerg's pass to Ndombele, superb. And like I've said earlier as well, the only time we played quickly in that game. And we carve them open with one pass. Goes through their entire midfield from Højbjerg to Ndombele, Højbjerg on the turn into Ndombele, off to Kane. Kane still had a lot to do, but it's Kane, isn't it? So Kane generally can do that. But you've seen playing quickly could get results there, so keep doing it. I mean, you don't always need the manager. I listened to Sky Sports Retro with Rooney, someone asking on Twitter what was Sir Alex Ferguson's greatest quality, and he said man of management. But he said there that when they got someone sent off, he let the players decide what formation and everything like that. If it wasn't working, then he stepped in and changed it. So the players can on the pitch decide what to do between them if it's not working. And these are experienced players as well. Kane, Bale, when he plays, Mora. But they don't seem to do it. They're like deer in headlights. You let Newcastle come on at you. And then eventually that goal is going to come, or they're going to get a very, very clear-cut chance, which should be a goal. And they had about 5 of those. So, I mean, it's just balmy, really. And I mean, we're definitely still in this top 4 race. People will say that we're not, which I think whether we'll get 4th is a completely different point in my mind to whether we're in the race for 4th. There's a few teams. I've got it on my phone. Let me bring it up. So West Ham on 52 in 4th. Chelsea 51, us on 49. So we're 3 points behind with 8 games left. Liverpool on 49 as well. Everton are on 47, but got a game in hand, as of Aston Villa on 44. And the same games as us, Arsenal and Leeds, who are 7 points behind us. I'd say that they're out of it, but then it's not a gimme, because if history's shown us anything, generally that 4th place goes down to the wire because teams seemingly don't want it. And all of those teams there, and I include Tottenham absolutely, will not win 8 out of 8. Famous last words, someone win 8. They'll probably all win 8 out of 8, apart from us. But they will not win 8 out of 8. So there's still a lot of football to be played there. And it's about who's more consistent. And I mean, as it turns out, because of West Ham winning, we wouldn't have been top 4 anyway. We would have been 5th if we'd have beat Newcastle. But we're definitely in that hunt. And maybe Arsenal, Leeds, maybe. They're down in 11th. So, you know, that's 8 teams potentially, definitely 6, that are fighting for 1 place. But, you know, I mean, if we can't sort that defence out and we're not going to attack teams, I can't see how we're going to get that 4th place unless we get some unbelievable luck. But, you know, and I can't see how we're going to do either of those things. I can't see that defence sorting itself out and then keeping clean sheets to the end of the season. And I can't see Jose letting the leash off and the handbrake off and letting us just go and attack and kill teams. We did it a couple of times against Burnley, and there was, I think, Palace, and then it seemed to stop. But just let us do it. I mean, if you're going to lose stuff and lose games, at least go out fighting. Don't go out like a whimper, because that's the worst way to lose. At least if you've tried, you can say, at least we tried and gave everything. If you go out with a whimper, it's just pathetic, really. But this final, I mean, our season has literally become a 1-game season now. It's all this final. And I mean, play like that against City, and City will absolutely destroy us by half an hour, half time. Another thing I can't stand, we haven't been able to deal with crosses all season. And yet this tactical genius isn't doing anything to stop the crosses coming in. The cross for the second goal, there was no one near him really, like on his toes to stop that cross coming in. You want to stop crosses, you get the winger helping the fullback out, and then you double up on him, so he either has to go back, or it's a gamble whether he gets the crossing because there's too many people in the way. The way Jose is, I think, he gets the box covered, so anything that comes in, it gets headed out. But if you're allowing that many crosses in, one of them is going to go to an attacker's head, which is exactly what happened, and then we made the mistake by both trying to go for it. But City don't always play, they generally play kind of through the middle, but Kevin De Bruyne is a good enough player that if he sees there's space on the wing, he'll ping that out to the wing without a second thought, and then they'll start being a crossing team. But, I mean, we've always got a chance, like I say, got Kane and Son. Son is due a goal as well. And generally what happens with strikers, I think, is when they have a lean spell, they suddenly score a goal and then they can't stop. So we need that to happen. But without Kane, I mean, God knows where we'd be. I mean, the amount of goals that he scored for us and assists and the fact that we can't defend, we could be in a relegation battle if it weren't for him. I don't think that's over dramatic at all. I think we're so dependent on. We were a one-man team when Bale played for us in that last season in 2012. I think we're even bigger one-man team now. And I mean, that may be disrespectful to people like Son because he's had a superb season. But half of his goals have come from Kane assists. And when Kane hasn't been playing, he seems a little bit lost. But we certainly in that Newcastle game, without Kane, God no, we wouldn't have even looked like scoring. And there's always this, will he leave, won't he leave, everything like that. We discussed this last week, which only he'll know. And regardless of what he says in press conferences, I'm only thinking about England, he'll still have thought about it at some point. What do I do next season? Just not properly because he's focused on England and the rest of the season with Spurs. But like we said, if his goal is to be a Spurs legend and the greatest ever goal scorer for Spurs, or just win any cup for Spurs, it doesn't matter if it's a league or a Carabao Cup, then he doesn't need to leave. But if he wants to be winning Champions Leagues and leagues, sadly, he's going to have to leave because I don't think he's going to do it with us. Certainly not now when he's 27, so he's probably only got 6-7 years still at the top. But I mean, if we do let him go, we'll get a lot of money for him, but that has to be invested wisely. It can't be Gareth Bale money again, where buy 6 players and only one of them is any good, or turns up good. And I think if we get 150 million for him, it's an inflated market now than it was back then. So it's about the same money. Eric Lamela costs us £30 million. Today's market, I think Eric Lamela costs at least 40, maybe 50. So we've got to get that right. But I hope he doesn't leave, as I'm sure many people do. But yeah, I dread to think where we'd be without him. And although Jose might not even be here now if we didn't have someone like Kane knocking the goals in and the assists. But I don't know why Son didn't start. Maybe he was slightly tired from international duty and then he had to come on. But normally you bring them on after an hour, not after half time. But yeah, I just think we're definitely in it with a shot. We've been so poor in terms of letting leads slip and goals conceded, but yet we're still in this race for top 4 and we're in a final. So we've got a chance. Like the season starts now, we've got a chance to achieve our goals. Obviously, our goal was to win a league and win more cups. But as it is at the moment, we can get top 4 and win a cup, and that's got to be the goal. Regardless of how difficult it will be against Man City, who are possibly the best team in Europe, that remains to be seen. But in terms of that top 4, like I said, everyone will drop points in there, including us. It's just who will drop more and who will be the most consistent. And we're definitely in with a shout. We end up winning the next 3 back to back. Then it wouldn't surprise me if we're in 4th and 3rd as well. Leicester. It'll be in their minds that they slipped up last year and let everything slip. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's a little slip there, but then they've probably aware of that, got the right attitude now and won't maybe slip a little bit, but not out of the top 4, certainly. But it's not beyond the realms of possibility. But massive game against Man United next. I think it's at home, but they'll be out for blood and revenge because of what we did to them at Old Trafford. Biggest defeat in their history in the Premier League. And I mean, if we let them onto us, that will be a defensive game, I think, because of Rashford, Greenwood, Martial, James, quick players, and they play on the counter-attack. So I imagine that will be a horrendously boring game. But I did say that in the first game. And we ended up scoring 6. But, I mean, that's must win. But I think if we lose that, and then Chelsea, West Ham win, then I think I wouldn't say top 4 is completely out, but I think we're proper outsiders again there. I think we've got to stay within 3 points like we are at the moment, and hope one of them lose, because our goal difference is better. So, if we win the next game 1-0, we're ahead of West Ham because our goal difference is better. Obviously, I'm talking about if we have a game over them. But yeah, we've got to start getting some consistency. I mean, if you're going to concede all those chances and goals, just play on the attack. Concede the goals, but score more. I mean, at least that way we'll be entertaining for the last couple of months of the season. And attack is our main strength. So just go and try and kill teams off from the start. But yeah, this Man United game is a huge, huge game. But I haven't really got anything more to talk about. You'll be pleased to know only one person on there, one person talking, goes quite quickly. So we'll be back for the United game, or talking about the United game. I'm hoping to have someone on who's a United fan. So even though it's a Spurs podcast, it'll be interesting, I think, to get a perspective of the opposition. So if you are watching this and then we're playing you at some point, it'd be great. Get in touch either on Twitter. You can see the details at the end of the video, or put a comment in here on YouTube. Get in touch, say you'd like to be on, and we can have like a discussion about the game with both teams' perspectives. Like I said, any comments that you have, any questions that you have, anyone who wants to answer the question whether we'd be playing like this if fans were in the stadium, I'd really be keen to know what people think about that. So add comments in here or onto at LTalk Tottenham on Twitter. And we'll be back after the United game with, hopefully, it's a nice win, and then we can look a bit more positive for the rest of the season with the Carabao Cup final close. Hopefully that will be the case. Thank you very much for watching. Before you go, please make sure you give the like and subscribe buttons a click. For anyone who's after just the audio only podcast, firstly, thank you for listening. Secondly, you can still get that in the normal places, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your audio podcast from. Alternatively, if you go to at LTalk Tottenham on Twitter, you'll be able to find the link to Anchor there as well. We'll be back soon. Until then, come on, you Spurs!